caught the charade, you are no wife of mine. You've been trying to take my life this whole time.
This was the first thing I ever heard from Epic. Little did I know of the incredible journey that awaited me. Before we begin, I'm going to point out that I'll be using some clips and stills from some incredible fan animatics and animations. It's a tremendous experience to be exposed to so many talented artists that spend so much time and energy on something just because they're passionate about it. I'll be crediting each one of these artists and linking to their channels in the description, so go check them out. Although I will say, if you've never listened to Epic, just stop right now and go listen to it. I don't care in the slightest if you come back to this video or not.
Diomedes will lead the charge. Agamemnon will flank the yards. Menelaus will let our mates through the gates to take the whole city at large. Teucer will shoot any ambush attacking. Little Ajax will stay back. Nestor, secure Helena, protect her. Leo, avenge your father, kill the brothers of Hector. Yes, sir. Find that inner strength now.
I'll be talking about a few spoilers that are plot and character foundational, but nothing that I think that would significantly affect your experience. Alright, let's get to it. I figure a good place for me to start is to talk about my personal introduction to Epic. It's actually something I stumbled upon by complete coincidence. One day I was in the middle of something, listening to music, and a song came on that immediately caught my attention. It was such a weird opening.
Let's cut the charade, you are no wife of mine.
And very quickly I was mesmerized. I listened to a man that just radiated control as he was trying to get home to his wife after 20 years of fighting. So competent that he was able to plan for and reverse a siren's tricks. Then, to not only kill them, but make them suffer out of what was implied to be a learned mercilessness after a lifetime of hardships. That entire setup absolutely enraptured me. I imagined what it might be like for the sailor to get home. That he might find a decadent royalty that gorged themselves with food and wine as their soldiers went out fighting their wars and as their people suffered. I imagined this man coming ashore and in righteous anger, killing all the royalty for their carelessness. I love the gray morality of that setup and that you don't know if he was a good man or not. It amuses me so much to know how wrong, but also right I was. And that's a testament to the strength of the storytelling. From one song, I was able to pick up major themes, character arcs, and even have an idea of future events. I didn't even realize that this was a song in a serialized stories. I was just like, that's a neat idea for a song. And I didn't really think about it too much. Then over the next 2 weeks, I would get songs that shared that same sort of format. Yes, I listened to Epic horribly out of order and just by the randomness of YouTube music. Every song pulled me in. And eventually I figured out each one of these songs were a segment in a much larger story. I vaguely knew the story was about Odysseus, which I didn't really know that much about other than the normal sort of moments that get passively trickled out by cultural osmosis. Homer's Odyssey is one of those stories that have a larger-than-life feeling to them. Like you know to respect it, but it feels so distant and untouchable. Then I started to look through the comments of some of these songs. If you know anything about YouTube comments, and especially YouTube music comments, is they normally tend to be of a certain type. There's often a lot of fun and camaraderie in YouTube comments, but they tend to be not all that insightful. But with these songs, I found the comments section to have a surprising amount of discussion on meaningful interpretation of characters, themes, and making eloquent observations. That was extremely interesting to me. I actually had never quite seen such a thing in a comment section, not to this level. And a name kept coming up, Odie. People talking about Odie's motivations, what he was feeling, how the story was affecting him. There was this deep connection to him from the audience. There was so much passion and personal attachment towards him. And I didn't really know who they were talking about. I knew the story was about Odysseus, but who was this Odie? Why does everyone seem so focused on him in what felt like a very personal nature? My mind literally couldn't connect the two. After all, Odysseus is this untouchable being of legend. It's so grand that I can never see him as anything other than this immutable figure. And then it clicked. This wasn't a one-to-one retelling or an adaptation to translate the ideas into something that would be more clear to a modern understanding. Instead, this was taking the themes and struggles of the original and transposing them into what we as a modern people would find not only meaningful, but compelling. While Epic is far from accurate to the original text, what it does do is take this incredible emotional journey that would be alien to us, and instead built upon that to have the same effect on us today as it would for the Greeks back then. I want to emphasize how incredible that is. Epic the musical was able to recreate the experience that the Greeks might have felt while listening to this story nearly 3,000 years ago. An experience that feels so personal and meaningful that these characters feel real. We feel what they feel. We hurt when they hurt. And when they struggle, we want to see them succeed. It creates this interesting dynamic that even though the two stories share very little in terms of text, there is so much respect and understanding to the original work that it does an incredible job of mirroring what Homer's work was trying to do. Let me explain what I mean with an example. One of the big changes between the two versions is why Odysseus shouts to the Cyclops. In the original, it went something like this. Na 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 na, Odysseus, king of Ithaca rules, zero-eyed Cyclops drools, I win, you suck, na 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 na. Daddy? Yes, son. Can you smite Odysseus, king of Ithaca? Yes, son. Wait, what?
Suffer the wrath of my trident! Did you get that thing at a yard sale?
Now, as far as I can tell, and let me tell you, I'm just a casual learning observer when it comes to classical understanding, but from what I understand, this was essentially a commentary on how heroes were perceived at the time. Heroes were supposed to be confident, and this often led to them being prideful. There was this tension between the two things. And the Greeks at the time would struggle with this contradiction a bit. While that lesson is perfectly understandable to us, we today very much value humility. And so this lesson, while meaningful, would just sort of be obvious to us. There wouldn't be a lesson. We expect our heroes to be humble, no matter how great they are. There isn't a contradiction for us. And thus, translating this directly doesn't hold the same value. So Epic does something impressive. It takes the idea of that contradiction and turns it into something we very much struggle with today. That being a contradiction on a moral level. In Epic, Odysseus doesn't shout to the Cyclops out of pride. He does so because he thinks it'll bring good into the world. To let the Cyclops know the man who spared his life was this great man of power, in the hope that the Cyclops may spare others in the future. But because of that choice, he brings an incredible amount of pain and misery not only into his life, but into the lives of many others. This is the heart of what makes Epic such an incredible story. It's basically the story of a guy doing the best he can in a dark, unforgiving world, forced to make no-win choices over and over again, asking the question, what happens when a good man isn't allowed to be good? When he is pushed over and over again, what does that man become? When there's no other choice than to let the world break you or to become something unrecognizable. That's the struggle of Epic, and it does it so incredibly well. And so Epic takes this almost alien world of the Greeks. It not only makes it feel alive to us, but makes it meaningful. But at the same time, Epic does a very good job of handling the Greek world while balancing modern understanding. The two don't clash. The belief in the Greek gods, the Greek traditions, and the Greek values are all there, but it's handled in a way that still makes sense to us. I'll give a few examples of what I mean. The Greeks saw marital loyalty differently. It was complicated. The man sort of could get away with sleeping with other women, or at the very least, it was something that happened a lot in mythical stories. And in Odysseus' case, it was actually used as a type of power play against Circe. But in the modern day, we value marital fidelity a lot, and this aspect becomes an extremely important part of Odie's story. The point of sort of becomes a joke as to how rare it is in the Greek supernatural world. And then there's Calypso. Now, in a modern context, Homer's Calypso would probably be seen as the worst monster in an entire story filled with monsters. If you know, you know. But the Greeks would have seen that as, that's just kind of what the gods do. What she had been doing to him would be seen as tragic and cruel, but not really seen as evil. If anything, Calypso is almost seen as one of the nicer gods. So how on earth do you translate that to a modern audience? Well, you turn her into a lovesick young girl. It amazes me how basically one-to-one this translation works, and it shows how different our world is to the Greeks. To maintain the emotional core, the ethical implications, and the general effect on the story, while changing things so much superficially. Again, I'm not a classicist, nor am I even a student of the topic, but the clear effort from Epic makes me appreciate what the original was. And I want to reiterate, this is only possible because the creator respected and understood Homer's Odyssey so well, and so implicitly, he was able to change almost everything except for names and general events, yet stay loyal to the purpose of the original, all while taking an extremely long, slightly meandering story and condensing it into something snappy, yet completely understandable. Another incredible achievement. Okay, moving on from the adaptation discussion. How does the story of Epic hold up on its own? In a word? Exceptionally. The relationships, the events, the choices, all of them build on each other to create a truly unique experience that will have you fulfilled, but asking yourself meaningful questions. Eventually, I'm going to have a series analyzing the entire saga, and I'll go through everything then. For the moment, I'm just going to say it's incredible and completely worth your time. Okay, let's talk about the writing. It's very much spoken in modern English, which you might think would be jarring for a Greek setting, but no, not at all. The writing is so intentional that while, yes, it is mostly modern, everyone speaks with enough weight that it doesn't feel at all out of place. You have the normal thing where people speak in formal English, so it makes it feel old, but you also have extremely modern phrases and expressions that really add to the experience. I'll let you experience those yourself, but I will say my favorite is when a young man is singing alone in his room. I will give you one example though. Hera, for some reason, is giving a disco singing style. Why? I have absolutely no idea. I don't know enough about Hera or disco, but it just works.
Hey baby. So many heroes, so many tales.
It doesn't take you out of the experience at all. It just gives it an interesting charm. That song, by the way, God Games, is the creators of Epic just showing off. It has layers of technical and thematic meaning working together to create one of the most impressive and emotionally impactful songs in an already impressive series of songs. And one really impressive aspect is that each god is given their own cadence, style, and even music genre. And Athena, while making her case to them, has to match their style, all except for one, who she doesn't match in style, but does with intensity. A certain back and forth that is no doubt second nature to her at this point.
Aries!
I can't wait until I talk about this song in more detail once I get around to it. There's just so much awesome that's going on there. Back to Epic in general. The voice talent is superb, not only in performance, but in the complex emotions that you can hear when they sing. One of the elements that make Epic so fun to interpret is that you will have characters going through various emotions, adding layers of subtext to already pretty expressive lines.
One day you'll hear what I'm saying. One day you might understand. One day, but not today. For after all, you're just gone.
Every single performer does such an excellent job, it's easy just to accept the world and the characters. The voice for Antinios is a particular standout for just how evil and easy it is to hate him.
Oh, I just did. What you gonna do about it, champ?
I'm always impressed when a voice actor is just able to make you despise a character so instantly. On a technical level, I'm also very impressed. I don't really know much about music construction or music theory, but from what I can tell, the music itself is simple, done expertly. It isn't trying to be fancy or do anything complex, but rather it does fundamentals well while the story gives the music emotional weight that just pulls you in. It also uses motifs expertly, just by hearing a character's motif without them even saying a word. You know the exact moment they show up, what they are doing, and you just get this chill down your spine, which is another point of compliment. The fact that everything flows so perfectly. You just understand everything implicitly. You're given just enough to know all the important parts, and then without thinking, your mind automatically fills in the rest. That again is extremely impressive. Okay, so I've showered Epic with basically non-stop praise. And it would be a good time to talk about the flaws. But, well, I can't really think of any. Now, I'm biased, but it earned that bias. There isn't a wasted song, there isn't a wasted line, there isn't a wasted note. Heck, even every single moment of silence adds to the experience. I don't think I've ever quite experienced a story like this. And to have it in the medium of what is essentially a normal music album structure, this is something truly unique. And to me, it has been incredibly inspirational. Something I believe legitimately changed my life for the better, as bizarre as that might sound. Anyway, I should probably cut it off there before I completely go off the deep end and start rambling like a complete lunatic. I would almost say I hope that I did this amazing story justice, but you know, it already does that itself. It doesn't need anyone to speak for it. But that won't keep me from doing it anyways because it's just so fun and it means a lot to me. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't listened to Epic, just go do it. I think you'll have a great time. Have a good day and take care.